Okay, so today on the podcast, I am joined by a man who's a legendary member of the tag team wrestling. His name is Mosh. How are you doing, sir?
Doing great. I don't know about legendary, but we're pretty good.
Yeah, I know you're legendary and memorable. Like one of the first tag teams I remember watching when I got into wrestling, which we'll kick into in a minute. But yourself, anyway, how did you end up getting into professional wrestling?
Well, I wrestled amateur growing up from third grade all the way through high school and a little bit of college. There was a school, it was called the Route 30 Mart. It was like a flea mart, right about 10, 15 minutes from where I grew up in Jersey. And just every Saturday and every once a month, they had a big truck out front. They had pro wrestling Saturday night, spray painted on the side. And one Saturday night, I had nothing going on. So I decided to go in and check it out. And I went in and checked it out, and the rest is kind of history from there.
And in terms of yourself, like you've wrestled all over the world, like have you ever been in Ireland?
No, never been to Ireland.
Yeah, because no. I remember WWE used to do tours in the UK, even when it was WWF, and they used to never come to Ireland. And I think WCW came one time, and then they started coming after that. I think 2003 was the first event that I remember going to in Dublin, like, and before that, I think it was maybe in the 80s, like by the last time that they came before that.
Yeah, no, when we were there, they never went there, like you said, 2003. So I was gone already.
Yeah, and I remember seeing you guys because I started off when I started watching wrestling. Okay, so there was a channel over here called Cartoon Network. So I was 10, and I'd be watching cartoons. But then at 9 p.m., the channel would turn into TNT, and then every Friday, it would go, WCW would be on every Friday, even it'd be on Monday in the States, but over here in the UK and Ireland, it was every Friday at 9. And that's the first piece of wrestling that I watched. But I remember then, after a while, watching WWF, and you guys were like one of the first tag teams that I remember seeing. And the first ever pay-per-view I seen that you were on as well was the Royal Rumble in 1998. You guys were in that as well, a part of it. Yep. Do you have any good memories from pay-per-views that you've done over the years, or even from, like, you've had a few memorable Rumble appearances as well?
Yeah, I mean, obviously my two favorite pay-per-views of all time would be WrestleMania 13, which was our first WrestleMania, and then obviously Ground Zero in September of '97 when we won the WWF Tag Team titles. Those two have got to be obviously the best for those reasons. I mean, first of all, to even be in WrestleMania was mind-blowing. And then, it's my first WrestleMania, and then we won. We went on to the next night on Raw, had a title shot against Owen and the Bulldog. So, so those two by far are the absolute positively best. The Royal Rumbles were fun, but it's kind of one of those situations where if you're not really involved with the main event storyline, it was like, kind of get in, do what you got to do, and then you kind of, get out. Because one of the lessons I learned from Robert Gibson very early on with Battle Royals was if you're not going to win, why hang out? Get in and get out. Yeah. So that's, you got your spot, you did what you had to do, and then you got out.
It was like that, especially when tag teams enter the Rumble. Like, you never really expect like one of the tag teams to win it, like, anyway.
Right. Yeah, you're just a filler at that point because they have to put 60 guys or whatever it is in the ring.
And in terms of your tag team partner, Glenn, like, how did you guys meet? Did you guys wrestle with each other as a team before you made the transition to WWF?
Yeah, actually, he was the trainer at the wrestling school I went to. So that Saturday night that I walked into the Route 30 Flea Mart, and he was their heavyweight champion. So after the show, I kind of hung around. Him and I started talking. So we knew of each other because our high schools wrestled one another because we both grew up in the same area. So he was the trainer at the school. So he actually trained me. And then from there we started, it was less than a year that we started talking about tagging together. It was probably about 6 months in, we started tagging together. It's actually about 5 or 6 months we started tagging together. And then, so I started June of '93. And that April of '94 is when we packed up the car and we moved to Memphis to go over with Jerry Lawler at USWA.
And did you guys have the Headbangers gimmick before entering WWE?
Yes. So we went to Smoky Mountain. The whole Headbanger gimmick, the idea actually came from Jim Cornette. So
Okay.
we were wrestling prior as the Spiders with the masks on. Cornette wanted to bring us into Smoky Mountain, but he didn't like the mask. So he had been to a Glenn Danzig concert, saw these guys mosh pitting and slam dancing and basically beating the hell out of each other, and they were dressed in skirts, all kinds of crazy gear. And I know about that because I used to go to concerts like that. I'm legit into heavy metal music, so I've been to concerts like that, so I know exactly what he was talking about. So that's where the Headbanger gimmick came from. It actually came before we were even in WWF.
On a side note, then, you mentioned heavy metal music. What kind of bands do you like?
I mean, I like some off the wall stuff, but I mean, the mainstream stuff. I like Disturbed, Metallica. I'm probably more old school with it, but it's a variety. I legit like a variety of music, but when I'm working out at the gym, it's got to be, it's got to be a little heavier, Limp Bizkit and stuff like that.
Yeah, big fan of Limp Bizkit actually as well.
Yeah, they're awesome.
What was the best concert you've been to then?
Wow, we've been to a Marilyn Manson concerts. I did a lot of over in Philly because I grew up in South Jersey, right outside Philly. There was this place called the Bank. It used to be a bank that they converted into the different floors had different bands playing. So I don't remember a lot of the names, but that stuff I really liked was more underground. It wasn't a lot of known people. It was more local bands and stuff like that. So it made it a little bit better. Yeah.
When you were working in the WWF at the time, say in the 90s, what was it like to work there? Was it a real serious place to work, or was there a more of an element of freedom? Whereas the guys these days, they don't seem to have a life outside of WWE. What were you guys like in the locker room? Were you close-knit with everyone?
It's just like anywhere else you work. You have some guys you're closer with than other guys. There's some people that you're friendly with, but you're more of an acquaintance. And then there's other guys that you gravitate towards and, you really get close with.
Yeah.
But overall, the atmosphere in that locker room was unbelievable because we all had the same goal. And that goal was to beat WCW in ratings. So we all knew whether we were opening match, second match, mid-card match, semi-main event or main event, we all knew our role and we all did the best we could to make sure everyone, got the storylines over and everyone did what they were supposed to do, because the entire goal throughout the locker room was just to beat WCW. So the camaraderie we had, everyone got along. We played dominoes, we played cards, we ribbed everybody got ribbed. There was no one was safe from a good rib. So it just was a blast. It was one of the greatest things ever.
Is there any ribs that stand out that was the best one you've seen?
There's actually a really funny one that Vince pulled. Vince was, what a lot of people don't know, Vince is a big ribber. Vince, when Mark Henry came in, Mark Henry was training and broke his ankle. One of the things Vince did was suddenly his crutches would magically just disappear. And Vince actually called him to the ring and said, "Mark, we need you at the ring, like right away." So there's Mark, 400 pounds, trying to hop on one foot. And as he got almost to the ring, there was Owen and Davey Boy up on the rafters standing there with his crutches. And they were like, "Yeah, you weren't really needed." So it was silly stuff like that. And it was all harmless. They would padlock bags together. Like they did that to us when we first started. Owen was one of the biggest ribbers. He actually padlocked their bags together. We traveled together. We're in the hotel together. So it was like no big deal. We didn't put it over at all. There's a lot of fun stuff like that.
Do you find, because back in the day when you guys were hot and there was lots of different characters there, do you find that the shows these days are purely wrestling driven and there's not enough put into people's backgrounds and storylines and their character development?
Yeah, I don't, being totally transparent, I don't watch a lot. If I turn it on and it's someone I know or someone I like, I'll watch it. But like you said, it seems like a lot of the characters are cookie cut now. They're all kind of out of the same mold. There's not a lot of different characters. Like when we were there was characters. There was us. I mean, characters as far as gimmicks, but we're a real life gimmick. I mean, we're both goofballs. We both, everything we do on TV, you see us doing outside of TV. But, you had the Godwins, you had LOD. So you had, Stone Cold, The Undertaker. You had all of these characters that people could buy into. Like with Stone Cold, his whole gimmick was he didn't give a shit. And, he just wanted to do whatever he wanted to do and drink beer and beat up his boss. Like at some point, who doesn't want to beat up their boss and just sit around and drink beer all day? So everyone could, like for us, it was, who cares if you have tattoos and piercings, wear a skirt, you wear cones, you do whatever you want to do, as long as you're happy and you're not hurting anybody. Like that was kind of our message we were trying to get across. So everyone a fan could find a piece of somebody and a character and follow it and get really invested in it. Just when I watch it now, it's like, it's kind of, there's a couple, like you got the New Day, you can get in there and kind of dance and bop around with them. But for the most part, there's not a lot of those different personalities.
Yeah. And in terms of back then, who was your favorite tag teams to wrestle against?
Had to be the Godwins, and then the Outlaws, New Age Outlaws.
Yeah.
Those two were probably the most fun that we had in the ring, and probably worked them the most out of everybody also.
Yeah, if you're talking tag teams these days, like probably the only one that gets even mentioned is the New Day, because they just seem to maybe throw people together every now and then. Like there's not really like the tag team division back then was serious business, but it seems to be kind of forgotten about these days. Yeah,
they started just throwing two guys together and it was actually, as a tag team wrestler, when they used to do that, it was frustrating for us. Okay, you're throwing two guys together, they're getting all this airtime, they're going to get the belts, all just to create a single storyline to go somewhere else. So yeah, it was frustrating, and and it hurts what hurts it now is like on the indie shows, because we do a lot of indies, it's the same thing. It's two guys that kind of throw together, and then eventually, these two guys are going to separate. So you don't see a lot of it anymore because everyone follows what they see on TV. And, they follow Vince because they think that's what, is the right way to do it. So not a lot of people now even coming up want to form a tag team because they know eventually it's going to be harder to get signed because the way they just kind of group people together now.
And where was your favorite place to wrestle? If you could pick one city, and why?
Chicago. Yes. Chicago. A couple reasons. One is that's where our first WrestleMania was. And the second reason was our T-shirt sold out every time we were there. So,
that would be following in Chicago.
That would be number one. Number two would be Philly, only because that was home. That's where I used to go as a kid and watch wrestling, and to go over and watch WWF and WCW. So to go back there, actually the first time we wrestled there, we were tag team champs. So to go back home and wrestle there as a tag team champ was like one of the greatest.
Yeah. Speaking of Chicago, we'll touch on him. What did you think of CM Punk when he was there, and what did you make of him going into the UFC? Like, I think it takes a lot of balls to do it, doesn't it?
Yeah, it takes a lot. It takes a lot, and I don't really have an opinion whether it was good or bad for him. It's it's what he wanted to do. I didn't see the fight at all. His UFC fight. I like CM Punk. So yeah, it's just it's just a totally different training. It's just a totally different everything about it. But as far as good or bad or have an opinion, doesn't mean anything to me.
Yeah, he was 39 going in, so like it took a lot of guts. Like, right, random question: if you were stuck on a desert island and you had to pick 3 people from WWF to be on that island, who would they be? And why?
Does it matter when or now or
whenever you want?
God, that's tough.
Yeah, it's pretty random.
One of them would have to be Owen, only because he just made me laugh all the time.
Yeah.
I take Mickie James only because she's great to look at. I like her. I get along with her.
Yeah.
And I guess I got to bring my partner only because I can't think of anyone else off the top of my head.
He'd be disappointed if you didn't say him, I don't think.
Yeah, his feelings would be hurt. He's sensitive at his old age.
In terms of, like, you guys are still wrestling, yeah?
Yes.
And what's the wrestling scene like now, and where are you guys wrestling at the moment?
So we live down in South Florida, right outside West Palm Beach, Florida. So we're wrestling for a company called Atomic Revolutionary Wrestling. So they're actually on Fight TV on Thursday nights now, on the app on Fight TV on Thursday nights at 8 o'clock. So we work with them every month, and we're actually working an angle right now with the Awakening, formerly known as the Ascension.
Ascension, yeah.
With Connor and Vic. So we're working an angle with them right now, which is why I have this. That's where
What
it
happened?
Tore 2 ligaments in my finger, like on this side and this side, just landed funny and jammed it. So working with them, and then we do other local stuff. We're getting ready. I just talked to Luke Gallows. We're getting ready to go to Atlanta to do some stuff with him. So the indies are fun. I enjoy them. One of the things I really enjoy is the young talent, the young kids. Is helping them out and watching and see where I can, help out. And they ask questions and stuff like that. But the indies are fun. It's a good time. I still miss being in the ring. I miss being in front of people. So it gives me the opportunity to get that itch and scratch my itch, I guess, and still have a good time.
Do you see a lot of independent, like small, unknown wrestlers coming through, and do you see guys that you think that they could make it big? Because I see a lot of your roster is kind of guys that used to be in the business as well, isn't it, in WWE?
Yeah, there's a lot. There's some kids coming through that probably have a good chance. It's just so different now than it was like when back in our day. Not so old. But we had territories, so there's really no territories. It's like, okay, you can do an indie show here, and then you can drive the next day to go 2 hours. But there's no like loop. Like when I did it, when we went to Memphis, it was Monday night in Memphis. Tuesday night was Louisville. Wednesday night was Evansville, Indiana. Thursday and Friday were Spot Town. Saturday was TV. Saturday night was Nashville. Like every night it was a big loop. Now it's if you can get booked on a Friday or a Saturday, or if you get booked both days, like that's a bonus. Like Glenn and I just did shows this past weekend. We did a show Friday and we did a show Saturday. So it's just different now. And what I tell a lot of young kids now is you got to build yourself up and you got to promote yourself. So YouTube, for instance, that's kind of how what are they called? I can't think of her name now. The Young Bucks.
Yeah.
The internet is how they got over, and Kenny Omega. That's how all those guys, got themselves over, is the internet. So that's what you got to do now to get yourself over. I guess that's kind of territories now because of social media.
Especially with the way the world is at the moment, you kind of need to be doing that. And are your guys' shows all in Florida at the moment? Because I know like there's different kind of rules in different states over there. I think Texas is open for wrestling now as well, isn't it? And there's maybe not shows going on everywhere at the moment, is there?
Yeah, not everywhere. It just depends on the state. I know the Northeast, like New Jersey, Pennsylvania, New York, they're a little more sheltered still. Down here, we just did a show Friday night. There was, I don't know, probably about 300 people there.
Wow.
And masks, they had the seats separated, and there was some social distancing. And then the one Saturday night was the same situation. They just clumped the seats in like sets of 3 or 4 and then moved them. They had them all spread out. And there was a couple hundred people there also. So, yeah, it just depends. I know Dallas, because SWE just ran with Teddy Long and Mark Henry's thing. So I think they had, from what I heard, like 500 or 600 people there. So I think what it is now is everyone's tired of being so sheltered. So any kind of little bit of activity, it's like, yes, let's get outside. Let's do it. And there's some parts of Florida I've been in where they don't even act like there was anything going on. So it just kind of depends on the area. But as far as us, I mean, we've been up to New York and doing conventions, and we've been all over. So it's all good.
Sorry there, 1 second. Yeah, so like the independent scene in America is in a good place now. Like, and I think like a lot of it was kind of helped by WWE and AEW still being able to do shows, at least to keep people entertained and interested in wrestling. Do you watch any of the current wrestling? Like you kind of touched on it earlier, but you don't. Do you just tune in and out of it? Like, for example, would you watch Mania in a couple of weeks?
Maybe. Probably the one time I do watch it the most is Mania is coming up, because that's just, it's like the Super Bowl. Everybody wants to watch Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And the other good side is I'll probably watch a little bit to get caught up, because we're doing Mania's in Tampa this year, which is a 3.5 hour drive for me. So we'll be over there doing Wrestle stock on Friday and Saturday on the convention. So I want to talk a little bit with the fans of what's going on. Who do you think is going to win this match? Who do you think is going to win that match? So I am going to have to get a little educated on what's going on.
Yeah. It's over 2 nights this year as well.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you watch any of AEW?
I watch a little bit. It's hard. I play kickball, so I play kickball on Wednesday night, so it's kind of hard to watch it. But I'm good friends with Red Velvet, so I like watching her. And I talk to her all the time. So yeah, so I'll watch it when I can. It just depends. I really like. I'll watch the NWA. I like Impact. I like the smaller ones. I like that there's these other smaller, little, kind of established companies still lingering around as well.
Yeah. Do you think they can really take it to the next level and challenge WWE?
Who, AEW?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think they should try to challenge WWE. I think they should just be them. And it's like competition's good, which is what drove us. So, when the business kind of took a dump is when Vince bought WCW and then it went away. There was no competition. So I think having the competition is good, and it's a different style. So there's some people that really like the WWE style, and there's some people that really like the AEW style. So it's just giving you a different choice. So I don't know if they want to go after and try and beat Vince. I think they just need to go and just be a better product of them every week. Just go out and be better the next week than trying to beat someone else. Just beat yourself, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's a good time for wrestling. I think there's so much going on, and even with the way the world has gone now, you see different promotions, especially on Fight TV as well. And there's so much out there for people. I think there's enough to keep everyone going.
Yeah, there's enough, and there's variety, and variety is good because, again, there's some people that like this stuff, there's some people that like that stuff. So it just gives everyone a little taste of something.
And in terms of yourself, then, for the future, what can we expect from you?
Just for me to go out there, and when I'm out there, give you my best and try to make you laugh and have a good time and forget there's any kind of chaos going on in the world. You never know what could happen, but for now, I'm just enjoying doing what we're doing and still being able to have the opportunity for companies to still want to book us. I mean, it's funny. I don't feel like the old guy, but we're the old guys now. And, but to still go out there and get in the ring and still be able to keep up with the young kids, to me, means a lot. And as long as I can still do that, and as long as people will still book us and pay us and have us on shows and stuff like that, and I'm good. I'm just going to keep doing what we're doing. As Joe Dirt said, keep on keeping on.
I keep expecting every year when I'm watching the Royal Rumble to see you guys appear. Hopefully soon.
Look, you never say never. It was 15 years when they brought us back in 2016. I never thought that would happen.
Yeah. Right. Listen, man, it was great to chat to you, and thanks a million for your time.
No problem at all. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Best of luck.
You too. Be good. Be safe over there.